Hello and welcome to the Handicapable Black Woman Throne Room. My view of humanity is a whole new tea. Hello and welcome to the Handicapable Black Woman Throne Room. Okay, our country's showing how much they hate people like me. They're yelling it to the rooftops, and the crazy thing is, while 45/47 keeps signing things that show racism, bigotry, hatred, and stuff like that, his followers are cheering him on. His followers are being like, yes, this is what we want, this is what we need. And it's like, and then they're like, there's no more reverse racism when, there was not like, no, there was no reverse racism to begin with. But they feel like they are entitled. Entitlement versus racism. When I keep witnessing, because like, especially back in the days while looking for jobs before I started doing promotional modeling and then substitute teaching and then the part-time adjunct professor and everything like that, going to job interviews was a nightmare. All of the judgment and all of the illegal questions. Sometimes it's like I would have to even remind them. In my HR class, I think I remember you're not supposed to ask that. And they would know that I'm correct. Oh, no, this doesn't have to do with the interview. I was just wondering. I was just curious. So why are you asking that right now during the interview, in the middle of the interview, if that doesn't matter? Why would you ask that? I didn't say that every time, but sometimes I did when I was highly irritated, especially when it was questions about my walking or about the color of my skin. Because I don't know why it would matter, like, which one of my parents is white, or how did I learn to talk like this. And the funny thing, neither of my parents are white. But people think because of my complexion and because of quote unquote how I act and things like that, they assume, they presume, they stereotype, and they think I automatically have to be part European in order to be the way that I am. But that's because of their ignorance, their bigotry, their racism, their stupidity, and uneducated adultery. That's what that is. That's what that is. But we have a lot of clowns out here, a lot of especially Republican racist bigots out here that are promoting racism even more. And it's crazy how, while teaching K through 12 and college, like students would be like, either students would tell me that they just witnessed racism. And then I had some students who had the privilege of never witnessing racism and then telling me there's no such thing as racism. And then they're telling me to get over that I'm making it up when I try to at least have a quick lesson about race in marketing or race in advertising. There was one class, or one of my last classes, where I was showing different marketing things, and some students were asking, like, how come we don't see that in America? And that's how that topic got brought up. Because I mean, when I have students who are asking questions, I'm going to be I'm going to be completely honest. I'm not going to make it up. I'm not going to go around the boat or whatever. It's like I'm going to get right on the topic and let them know and tell them I'm going to be for real, for real. But then I have some students, and it's really funny when it's like brown students. Some of them are privileged enough where they try to tell me that I'm making it up, or it's not for real, or yeah, it's pretty disgusting. Because in one of my last classes, a student, I'm going to say his name one day, like, I'm giving it a little bit more time because I'm like, I'm going to be way too petty right now because he was such a disgusting, awful, bigoted human being. Yes, he was. But he was like, racism is over with. So when are you going to get over it? And I've mentioned this in a few other episodes. But throughout the semester, he was such a disgusting, like calling me Professor Cripple and just saying and doing some of the most bigoted things. Like he was a bigot while telling me there's no bigotry. He was literally a bigot while telling me there's no bigotry. And it's just like eyes wide, and to the point where it's just like, and oddly enough, yeah, because I said he's a Brown student. With some of the stuff that 47's doing right now, ooh, I have no pity for him and his family. I have not one drop of pity for him and his family. The way he spoke to me, the way he spoke to me. And his father's probably looking down from heaven or looking up from hell, ashamed at how he treats people and how he talks about people. Like, 'cause even I have, I had some students that were like Spanish was their first language, and sometimes when they are stuck and they don't know the word, and so I'm trying to help them out with, okay, so what, like, how's the rest of the sentence going to go? Because I'm like, if I can figure out the rest of the sentence, then I can probably at least guide you to the right word. And then he would be laughing at them, teasing them, pointing at them, and then I would have to like sternly look at him like, I know your dad wasn't around to teach you manners, but was your mother? Like, and yes, I'm that petty, because if you can't respect, if you can't have manners, I mean, he treated it like so, like, and the thing is, the girls didn't know. The young ladies didn't, because I would stare, like, because I didn't want to embarrass her. Or it's like there was a couple students, but there was one specific one. It's like, and the thing was, it's crazy how some students come in my classroom and they're so excited and they want to learn. And even when English is their second language, they are still willing to be wrong, but be wrong so that they can learn the right answer. And they want to embrace more knowledge and they're excited to learn more. And sometimes when I'm giving, like, sometimes I know I give way too much information, but they love it to the point where they're putting the pieces together. And that's how I teach. I give them so much information where now they are forced to come up with their own conclusion. But then I have a bully who's a bigot. And I say all of that because we have all like a tons of Republican men walking around here saying that black people are not American, we're only citizens. We have a now president who signed something that will reverse something that will allow me to be able to get a job. Because realistically, when people see me with a walker or a scooter, they already don't want to hire me. It's like, if you, I will tell so many of the stories, but especially when companies don't have elevators, they're like, no, we can't hire you. You can't have the job. And this is before I had to get to the walker. This is years ago, but my walking was still getting bad. And I was going to doctors, but doctors were telling me it's my fault. And they were saying I was lazy and all this other stuff. But I'm like, what? You've been telling me this since I was a baby. Maybe this is a hint to you that maybe there's something wrong. But now, trying to find a job, they're going to find something wrong with me. They're going to find it because they know well, now they can say it's because of my race. Now they will be able to say it's because of my handicap. But a lot of people out there don't realize why we have those laws. And it's crazy how I finished my bachelor's with a double minor and then started trying to find jobs. Couldn't find a job either because, well, It's like I didn't have the work experience, or because of how I walk. So many times they brought up how I walk. And sometimes, like with my skin color, like sometimes they thought I tricked them because, yeah, when they look at my resume and then they hear me on the phone, they picture white girl or whatever, so, or European American girl or whatever. So then when I walk in, they find out I'm black. Next thing I know, their language changes. They hardly want to talk to me. They can't wait to get me out the door. And it's just frustrating because I already knew I wanted to at least try to get one master's. So I all of a sudden I go get my master's, and all now I'm overqualified. Companies are telling me, you don't want to work for us. You have a master's. No, you need to go and get these other jobs. But then I try to get those other jobs because they told me that I should, because they're not going to hire me. And then they tell me, but you don't have the work experience. Because like I started doing promotional modeling work. And so some companies say, you have a good start with getting experience, but you don't have enough years. Or what about behind the scenes with the promotion companies? But then I would try to apply for those, and yeah, well, never get those positions. And but then, well, I'll save those stories for a different day. But it's crazy. So now we have Republicans saying that I'm a citizen, but I'm not American. There's a president taking away our rights, and then people having an issue with Mrs. Obama not going to the inauguration, even though black women are hated on a daily basis. And then we're told that we're not smart enough, we're not good enough, that we're not able enough. And it's like they they want to limit us because black women get around 0.01% of business loans. And when it comes to education, though, we are the most educated demographic in this country. I repeat, African American women are the most educated demographic in this country. But they always want to tell us that we're not able to. They always want to put us down. They always want to degrade us and tell us we're not good enough. Like my ex's mother always tried to tell me, the only reason you got into college is because you're black, while some of her kids dropped out of college. Her European American kids dropped out of college. And also, when people like this jerk, the jerk who says that African Americans are not American, we're only citizens. Remember, this is stolen land. This is Native American land. This is their land. You came and stole it. You guys keep wanting to whitewash history. You guys keep wanting to whitewash history. But you guys stole us from a country to build your country, so that and build it for free, because you were too lazy. Your ancestors were too lazy to do it on their own because they knew how much work it was going to take, but they didn't want to do it. So instead, they're like, oh, it's like, and they knew Native Americans, they know the land too well, so they will be able to run away easily. But if they get people from another land who doesn't know this land whatsoever, they got a problem, they got an issue. So, but yeah, this is stolen land. They want to whitewash history, but this was stolen land. This is stolen land. It's still stolen. They want to keep taking our rights away. They want to keep trying to pretend that they are the ones being taken advantage of. And a lot of hate groups love and adore the person that's been voted into office, but other, like, there's some 45 lovers who kept trying to tell me, no, that's not true. Well, just remember, it was like the Democrats were all about slavery years ago. And it's like, okay, idiot. When did you stop reading the history? Because the parties flipped. The parties flipped. But it's really crazy how they only want to know so much of the history because after a certain point, they're going to realize what the Republican Party turned into. They're going to realize how, yeah, they keep saying they're the Christian party because even at my quote unquote church, because part of me is like, like, if my church kept telling my congregation to vote for 47, 45, 47, whatever, like to me, I'm just like, you know what? Now I feel like that church is just a church of bigotry. It's like they kept trying to say that the Democratic Party is just going to destroy America. But you guys, that means my pastor, my bishop cheered our country on to make it much harder for me to get through life, made it harder for people with disabilities, black people, and people of color to be able to get employment and other needs and things like that in order to make it through, and make it harder for us to be able to get business loans. And don't like there's so many real estate lawsuits right now because African Americans were either denied to get a certain house and stuff because of their race, or like selling their house, like the um, person who comes in to give the estimate and everything is like they gave their house a much lower value compared to the other houses around them. And with some of the cases, their house, like some of their houses either had pools or they had like updated and upscaled things to the point where their houses should be valued more. But when they see the African American family on the walls and the picture frames and everything like that, or other things that show that this family is probably black, then they lower the value just because a black family was in that house. And then when you look at even history, real estate is such an abundant asset. And because of like after slavery and everything, when African Americans were American citizens, it's like burning down Black Wall Street and the homes and redlining and so many other things, taking away opportunities from us because some part of me feels like they knew how hard African Americans work and how diligent and how stubborn, like we had to become a stubborn demographic because everyone kept telling us and everyone keeps telling us what we can and cannot do. And it's like that we had to build a shield out of the you can't do that, you can't do this. It's like you're not able to, you're not smart enough. Oh, it's like Asian people, like oh, especially like other demographics or other people of color, they look at us and they think lower of us. And then they think like it's just a mess because it's crazy how when Asian Americans ask me out, or when I did go on a date with a couple, I was having dinner with one, and he he was trying to ask me like, so how are you actually able to finish your masters? And I was in the middle of a chew, but I like in the back of my mind, I'm like, ooh, is he gonna be racist? Ooh, I think he about to be racist. And I was like, what do you mean? I was like, I did the work, I studied, I did what I had to do in order to get my master's. What are you asking? And he was like, well, we're smarter than you and everything. And it was like, and I know I started off, or I forgot how much of his higher education, but he at one point quit or whatever. And he was just like, I know if I quit, then I know like you had to have figured out a way, or you had to do something in order to get past my opportunity or my skill or whatever skill level. And I'm just looking at him like, oh, okay, you think you're, okay. And just because you're Asian. And then look at what happened with the colleges. But then, okay, after the Supreme Court reversed it and everything, then the the percentage of Asian Americans going to the prestigious colleges went down. It went down. But with African Americans, it stayed the same or even increased at some of the schools. But for Asian Americans, it went down. Oh, I don't pity them. Like I'm just like, whoops, because now they're going back to African Americans asking for our help. No, our ancestors did the work, and you're the ones that you hated. You hated us so badly. You think so low of us, so like bad, like for some reason that you're just like, oh, okay, let's tear this down because since we're Asian, we're smarter than you. And no, 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 no. Like we were smart enough to not help you, and we're smart enough to still not help you. And I don't know, it's just annoying. It's frustrating because even with Indian Americans, because yes, like with me, I'm just I just try to look for a good man. I don't care about the race or whatever like that. And I remember I went out on a date with one. His name was Muhammad, but there's so many Muhammads, you're never gonna know which one. So good luck trying to find him. Anyway, after the date, actually, I think I showed the screenshot in one of the episodes. Yeah, it's probably in one of the dating nightmare episodes. So good luck trying to find it. I'm gonna put it on Patreon. It's like I'm still working on that, but anyway, like about less than 2 hours after the date, he's texting me. This is after our first date. And he texted me something like, I think I found my wife. I think I found the woman I want to marry. This is after the first date. And our date was so simple because it was during Ramadan. And so he couldn't eat and everything like that. And but it's like, and the thing was like, it was on a Saturday. I was working on my novel. I'm doing laundry. I'm doing whatever. And then he messages me and was like, "Hey, do you want to hang out?" And I was like, "Oh, when?" He was like, "Today." And he was like, then he said a time. I think he said like 3. And I was like, hold up. I'm in pajamas still. I'm just doing my Saturday, like lazy day. What? And so, anyway, I'm like, well, that it does, the weather is beautiful outside, and why not, or whatever, because we've been writing each other for about 2 or 3 weeks or whatever on the dating app. So, but yeah, he came over, but he didn't plan anything. And then he's asking me, what do I want to do? And I'm just like, fool, like you asked me, like, see, okay, I'm going to talk about this in another episode, but men, if you're going to ask a woman out, especially if you asked her out, one, have some money on you, and two, have plans. And oh no, it's like I like free dates, especially if they're creative free dates or inexpensive dates or whatever. But I just said make sure you have money on you because yeah, I it's like I think his name was Scott. He was a good for nothing alcoholic. Um, yeah, absolutely good for nothing alcoholic. I hope his mom finds this video one day. But anyway, uh, yeah, he asked me out and asked me to go meet him at a bar, and because he said the appetizers were so good, but no, he just needed the appetizers for his stomach because he was going to drink so much or whatever. But then he forgot his wallet, so then he needed me to pay. But I'm like, I'm in the middle of my master's. I just paid for a class, so I'm like, what? Like, so I would, yeah, let's just say that was frustrating. But anyway, back to Muhammad. And it's like I'll tell the other full story in another episode. So you know I'm messy. You know I'm messy. But anyway, him and I, we continue talking and everything. And throughout the text messages beforehand, before the date, he's sending me pictures of him in the shower. He's sending me pictures of him in bed and everything like that. And so, like, I'm just, and even after the date, he sent me a couple pictures or whatever. And the thing is, I've never sent him pictures. I video, because to me, I'm like, okay, I'm like, can we just video chat? If you want to see my face, if you want to see me, we can just video chat. And so, anyway, he it was Ramadan, so he went to his family to eat the feast, the dinner and everything. But then he did mention that I have a disability to his family members, and his mom basically told him he can do better than that. And it was like, why? Especially like, I'm not gonna lie. It's like, oh, he's absolutely gorgeous and everything. So, but it's like, I'm a sapiosexual. So I love that he has his own business. He's worked really hard. He has his, uh, well, not certification. He has his trade. He has a trade. And so to me, I'm just like, yes, that's bomb. That's great. That's amazing. And so that's like, I thought business wise, it's like we both have goals, we both have aspirations. That's the type I'm looking for. But yeah, basically he starts ignoring me. And I'm like, okay, just tell, like, if you don't want me to talk to you, let me know so I can just block you. And he was shocked. He was like, you would just block me? Okay, you go from first saying that you would want me to be your wife, you want to marry me, and then you basically ghost me. So then he basically tells me how his mom was just like, well, with when I mentioned your disability, because it's like I mentioned your schooling, and she was so impressed, and I told her how nice and sweet and everything, but then with your disability, she was just like, oh, you can do better than that. And it's like I was thinking about it, and I mean, it's like you're absolutely amazing, but dot dot dot. So basically, he treats me like most job interviews treat me. So it's cause I always get, I'm overqualified, I'm great, I'm amazing, I'm the top person, but dot dot dot. And it's usually they can't say the race part because yeah, I'll talk about that in another one. But this is the Handicapable Black Woman Throne Room. I am a woman, I am of color, and I am handicapable. But most importantly, I am human and you're human too. But this country is forgetting that I'm human, and they're forgetting so many of us are human. It's like I already have to fight as a woman, fight as a black person, fight as a person with a disability. It's like so threefold I already have to fight. It's exhausting. But while I fight, they're just taking more rights away. They're making it harder and they don't care. Some of them are enjoying it because they get to swim in their privilege now. They already got to swim in it, but now it's like they're getting into the deep end of their bigotry. They're getting into the dark side of the ocean where now they get to celebrate and enjoy the deepest of the deep side of ignorance, racism, bigotry, and hatred. Take care.